71% of the people who are on Medicaid are children. 71%. We're talking about seniors. We're talking about the disabled. We're talking about veterans. We're talking about hospitals that are going to close. And because they're not extending the ACA tax credits in this bill, here's what I need you to tell everybody that you know in all of your circles. You know, let's face it, some people might hear us talk about Medicaid, and as important as it is, and it's very important, it touches a lot of people. There are folks who say, well, I'm not on Medicaid. Well, because they're not extending the ACA premium tax cuts in this bill, and because of these draconian cuts in Medicaid, everybody's health care premiums are about to go up. Everybody's health care. So if you got private insurance, don't think that this is not your fight. It's your fight, not just for your neighbors, but for yourself. Your health care premiums are about to go up, and hospitals are about to close. So what good is it to have health care if there's not a hospital that you can quickly get to if you're having a stroke? And so this is about lives, literally, on the line. And I haven't even talked about the cuts to SNAP in a country where 1 in 5 children already are food insecure. These draconian cuts to SNAP are going to create hungry families, and they're going to be a real drag on a lot of small town communities where the local grocer relies on SNAP. Farmers are supported by the work that we do with families that need SNAP. And so we must remain vigilant. You remember that several years ago, they were trying to do away with the Affordable Care Act, and it was a single vote by John McCain. It was a famous moment. And when he came in that chamber, thumbs down, that saved the Affordable Care Act. Well, here's what we're not saying enough of right now. What they are doing right now, it means that this is effectively the same fight. By not extending these ACA tax credits, they are literally defunding Obamacare right now. I don't know if you're hearing people say that, but hear me, that is what this is about. They are defunding the Affordable Care Act, and they're about to drive up everybody's health care premiums. And so make sure you get the word out. We need people to jam the phones at the Capitol. We need you to show up. If you can make it here, we'll be debating all night. We need you to, stand up, or in the places where you are, in the states where you are. I was here in 2017, the last time the last Trump administration was pushing through a similar bill. I came then as a citizen, as an activist pastor. I had no idea I'd be in the Senate when we were doing this again. And so I've fought these fights on the outside, and now I'm fighting on the inside. But whether we're on the inside or the outside, it's the same fight. And so let me close in this way. Nobody believes a preacher when he says, let me close, but let me close. After Dr. King was able to get the Civil Rights Bill passed into law, he and his lieutenants went to see the president. They went to see LBJ. And Dr. King said, I'm glad we got a civil rights bill, Mr. President, but I got to have a voting rights bill. I got to have a voting rights bill passed into law. Too many of my people can't vote. And the president said, Martin, you're right. I get it. I understand, Dr. King, but there's no way we can get a voting rights bill passed right now. I don't have the power to do it. I just don't have the power. And they left the meeting, and the staff was feeling all demoralized and dejected. And they began to ask Dr. King, what are we going to do? The president said he doesn't have the power to do it. Dr. King said, well, if the president doesn't have the power, I guess we're going to have to go and find the president some power. And that's what Selma was all about. It was about a grassroots movement creating the context for the change that we need to see in the world. And so we're already planning There are things we can do in the Senate. There are things we will do. We're already having some shadow hearings. We need to have more of those in the field. I and others are committed to doing that, to get the word out, regardless of how this turns out. The fight is not over. Remember, they can do 2 reconciliation bills in the Congress. So there'll be other fights. And there are things that we can do here in the Senate. But people ask me all the time, what can I do? You can help to create the context for the change that we want to see in the world. Even as I fight on the inside, we need the NAACP. We need all of our grassroots organizations, all of our civil rights organizations. We need a multiracial coalition of conscience pushing the country towards its highest ideals. And I'm deeply honored and encouraged to have you with me and for me to be alongside you in that fight.
Thank you, Senator. No, you have to go back to the floor, but thank you. Short notice for joining. We're going to continue these all week until the final decision is made, and then we're going to shift to let people know the impact this administration, this Congress is having on individual lives. So we appreciate you. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you very much. Stand up wherever you are. But I'm thinking about our opportunities, because we all we need is 4 senators. We need 4 on the other side. And you see what happened with Tom Tillis. And there's some others that I think. Watch Rand Paul, watch some others. Watch my friend in Alaska, Senator Murkowski. They promised her something, and it looks like she's not going to be able to get it. Watch my friend in Louisiana, who's in a similar situation as was Tom Tillis. So if you know people in those locations especially, blow up Louisiana, raise your voice, call the people in that state, make sure their senator hears that we need him to vote no on this bill. We can defeat this bill. We can. I'm not going to tell you that's going to be easy, but there is a path for defeating this bill, because whatever they pass in the Senate, they got to then send it over to the House, and they've got some discord even in their own caucus. So don't give up. Keep fighting the good fight, and no matter how this turns out, we keep pushing. Love you.
Love you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Senator Warnock, for that. I'll kick it back over to Patrice and said, as I think is appropriate to kind of lift up some of the states that we are focusing in on or need to be targeting around this. And then from there, we will have Vincent Evans from the Congressional Black Caucus, Executive Director of the Congressional Black Caucus. Patrice.
Hey, I'll pick from here down. Patrice, I'll pick up here and just the senator added some really helpful context about Medicaid. I just want to get into a couple other issues that are also really important, which is SNAP. And he said he wasn't even getting into SNAP, but let's get into SNAP a little bit. So they're expanding the work requirements for SNAP from the age of 54 to 64, which adds more bureaucratic hurdles for people who need food assistance. At the same time, they're making states pay for SNAP for the first time in history. So this has been referred to as one of the largest cuts to SNAP throughout history. The program is going to be cut by about 30%, but here's the truly devastating part. Some states could even decide to end their SNAP programs entirely because they can't afford the new costs. They are building more barriers in front of people who are just trying to get help, and then providing less money for people to actually get that help. And then there's the deficit, the third piece. And this one is also terrible because they're going to raise the debt ceiling by $5 trillion to give themselves room to borrow more money for permanent tax cuts to the wealthy, while making folks who need help pay for it through cuts to their health care and their food assistance. This is also a largest increase in the history of the United States. So let's be clear about what this all means. They're preparing to borrow against our collective futures to make rich people richer today. These aren't temporary tax cuts. They're making them permanent, while the cuts to our community are immediate and they are real. So the bigger picture is really that we're witnessing an economic robbery, plain and simple. They're taking healthcare and food assistance away from families today so rich people can pay less in taxes forever, and they're putting it all on the bill of our children's credit card. And so this isn't fiscal responsibility, as you might hear a lot of people say. This is a coordinated wealth transfer from the communities that need help most to the people who already have the most. The fact that they're still trying to firm up support from holdouts, which is what the senator was also lifting up, means that this isn't over. The razor-thin procedural vote last night shows the fight is still winnable. We've already forced delays. We've already made them nervous. We've already shown that when we pay attention, when we make noise, when we hold them accountable, we can make a difference. And there are a number of states in which a real difference needs to be made. So I'm just going to refer to my notes and lift a couple of those states up. So the states with the highest Medicaid recipients: Louisiana, West Virginia, Kentucky, Arkansas, Alaska, Montana. States with the highest SNAP recipients: Louisiana, West Virginia, Oklahoma, Alabama, North Carolina. States with the highest investments from the Inflation Reduction Act, which is going to be completely slashed: South Carolina, Ohio, Tennessee, North Carolina, Indiana, Oklahoma. So what this means is that the next 48 to 72 hours are everything. Every call to a senator matters. Every social media post matters. Every conversation that you have with a neighbor matters. They're counting on us to be distracted. They're counting on us to be overwhelmed. They're counting on us to be too tired to fight back, but they are wrong. We see what they're doing. We understand what's at stake, and we're going to fight back with everything that we have. And with that said, I'm going to turn back to you, Don.
Thank you for that, both Cedric and Patrice. And folks, the states are in the chat. We're going to be getting this information out to everyone. So everything that Cedric said, we're placing it in the chat, but this information will be coming back to you all as well. We want to make sure we are targeting those states that was just lifted up around Medicaid, SNAP, Social Security, et cetera, but also continue to put pressure on other states and senators as well. We'll bring up now our partner over at the Congressional Black Caucus, Mr. Vincent Evans, who's the executive director, to kind of give us context of what's happening on the House side, some of the things that are moving, and how the CBC is engaging and urging folks to get involved in this moment. Vincent?
Tom, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, thanks everybody and good evening. Let me just thank the NAACP for their continuous leadership. President Johnson, Don, Patrice, Cedric, the whole team. I was driving, but Dominic Whitehead and Derek Johnson tell you to pull over, you got to pull over, because this update is so important in this moment. Let me just say, from the standpoint of the Congressional Black Caucus, which of course is led by Congresswoman Yvette Clarke of New York, our members are on the watch right now, on the vanguard, and they have been. As you have already heard, and I will not repeat all of what has happened or contained in this bill, but this bill passed the U.S. House at the end of May by one vote, y'all. One vote is how it got to the United States Senate, where it is today. And we will see what happens over the next 24 to 48 hours with respect to the U.S. Senate. And then it will have to come back to the House. And as you have just heard from one of our great CBC members, Senator Warnock, we should not believe that this bill is yet done. There's an opportunity in the Senate to stop it. There's an opportunity in the House, and we will use every tool that we have in the toolbox over the next 48, 72, 96 hours to do that. Couple things, and Cedric just said this. Y'all, this is a huge transfer of wealth. It's not just about the Medicaid. It's not just about the ACA. It's not just about the safety net hospitals. It's not just about Head Start. It's not just about the taxes. This would be a huge transfer of wealth for the people at the top, and those who have the least will get the least out of the bill. So that's an important point that we've got to hit up. This is a moral moment. I know that everybody on this call knows that. Again, I won't go through all the provisions. What I would ask you to pay attention to is this. The Senate will continue to debate this bill, I think, for another 16, 15 hours or so. I think Patrice went through some of that. Then we'll get into some amendments overnight. And then overnight, we'll start doing some of the voting on the amendments. And then ultimately, the bill looks like it will make its way to the floor for them to vote on Monday. We'll see how that goes. Members of the CBC are on their way back to Washington. They will get here not later than Tuesday, and they will be fighting like hell all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, for as long as we have to stop this bill. So Reverend Warnock asked, and I will ask you again, if you can show up to Washington, D.C., show up. You can call. I know the NAACP We'll talk to you about the calls of action shortly. Follow those calls of action because we need people in this moment to be in this fight. It is a real fight. It is a fight that we have the potential to stop, and we should not take for granted that we might have that potential. Last thing I will say is this. I will end where Senator Warnock ended, and that is about something Dr. King said about the people of goodwill and the people of ill will. Y'all, the people of ill will are making good use of time right now on the United States Senate floor. Right now, in real time, they are making good use of time, the people of ill will. The people of goodwill are also going to do the same. That is why all of these individuals jumped on this emergency call. We are the people of goodwill. Let us use that goodwill in these remaining hours to fight the fight. Thank you so much, NAACP. The Congressional Black Caucus is with you every step of the way, and I know you're with us as well.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent Evans. We are the people of goodwill. The freedom fighters over here at the NAACP are the people of goodwill to get this done. I'm going to keep this train moving and move it on to our good brother, Mr. Trevon Williams, Senior Vice President of Marketing and Communications here to talk about messaging. What do the people of goodwill need to say? How are we communicating in this time that we are in? Trevon?
Well, first, I'm gonna get you for having me go after Vincent. That's what I'm, I'm having you go. Good evening, everybody. Pleasure to be with you all this evening. Listen, as my good brother Vincent Evans just made mention to as well, this is it's a catalytic moment on behalf of our organization as well. This is our opportunity to scream loud at the walls and watch them fall down. And what becomes very, very vital for us in this moment is what we're saying in this moment. My colleague is going to drop a very important message or link in the chat here with regards to the messaging that we've been pushing forward over the last several months as well. We've been telling you all this has been coming through the amazing work of our Chief Policy Officer, Patrice Willoughby and Cedric Haynes from that policy team and letting us know in real time how these things are manifesting. What we need you all to do, alongside of everything that you heard from Vincent, from Reverend Warnock, from Patrice and team, is to be contacting your senators and letting them know in real time about the impact of these things in real time on behalf of these things. There's messaging there. There's the background as it pertains to Medicaid and SNAP and veterans benefits and all of those things that are being mentioned as well. But there's also opportunities for you to take action with regards to that messaging as well. We want to just give you the messaging stuff, but we want you to let you know exactly how you can mobilize in real time. That link is being made available in the chat right there. And we want you all to take that message and we want the same message to be reverberating across this country over the next 72 hours nonstop. We want to let everybody know that you're not going to take from our future for the benefits of letting the billionaires have money right now. We're not going to let you. We're going to let them know right now that you're not going to take away from our ability to take care of those who protected us with regard to veterans benefits. You're not going to put our Mimas and our Papas out so that you could take care of some billionaire somewhere else. This is our opportunity to get a cohesive message as much as possible. So you have messaging that's covering Medicaid, covering SNAP programs, covering veteran benefits that we're going to be updating in real time as well. Additionally, there are some graphics and a carousel that we made available in real time probably about 2 hours ago that's circulating all across our NAACP social media graphics and digital platforms as well. We need everybody on this call to go to our platform and share those graphics and make sure that those who are in your networks are very much aware about this big ugly bill full of big ugly lies. Share that across your platform as well. It's our opportunity to educate our audience while we're also asking them to activate in real time. So some of the messaging that we're speaking to as well as capture right there in the social media aspect as well. And we're going to be updating that in real time as well. There'll be some additional updates that our field team is going to go through with regards to activations as well that you can continue to capture from a digital standpoint as well. But use the messaging document there, use the action document there as much as possible and amplify this as much as possible and tag your NAACP while you're doing it. We want to make this as big a noise and as big a fuss across the country as possible. So the more you can do as far as pushing this out, amplifying it, the more we can do to build it across our platform and let these senators know that we're not on our watch, not playing, no way, no shape, no how. We'll make this information available to you and we'll be updating it in real time over the next several days. Back to you, Dominic.
Thank you for that, Trevon, on that. Not on our watch. The freedom fighters of goodwill All we need is four, just four senators, a lot of call to actions to really root us into what we need to do over these next 48 hours and or longer as it comes to this big ugly bill overall. We're going to move into the portion of question and answer at this moment. And so I asked some of our panelists who are on to come back on for this section here. Our field team is going to guide us through the question and answer section. So I kick it over to our leader, Ms. Erica Kane, Vice President of Field Operations overall, to help begin to lead us into Q&A. Erica?
Thanks, Dom. Yes. So the first question, Patrice said, if we can get the name of those four senators again, we appreciate everyone in the chat that's dropping hashtag we need those four. So can we get the name of those four senators again? That way we know exactly who we need to be reaching out to. And Patrice said, if you are talking, you are on mute. Okay. I think
Patrice is off mute.
Patrice is off now.
Hey, the four senators that he mentioned were Rand Paul from Kentucky, Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, Tom Tillis from North Carolina, and he mentioned Louisiana, but not the specific senator. There are two, John Kennedy, probably not Senator Kennedy, who tends to be a little bit more conservative, but I would just target both of them. Let's see, let me grab the other one.
Hey, Patrice, while you're looking for the other one, I would just say that in terms of states and particular senators, just want to loop back and provide these again: Louisiana, West Virginia, Kentucky, Arkansas, Alaska, Montana. Anyone who is here living within those states, or if you could reach out to the senators, both of the senators within those states, is critically important, because while they may not be at the top of the list that Patrice has given, these are the folks with the highest Medicaid recipients in their states, which means they have a lot to lose if this bill passes. Similarly, the states with the highest SNAP recipients: Louisiana, which is also on the Medicaid list; West Virginia, which is also on the Medicaid list; Oklahoma, Alabama, and North Carolina. So again, those states: Louisiana, West Virginia, Kentucky, Arkansas, Alaska, Montana, North Carolina, Alabama. These states have a lot of skin in the game and a lot of people who stand to lose some very, very critical benefits if this legislation is to pass. And this is not about particular senators, but about the state. So please contact both senators from those states.
Thanks, Patrice.
And that would be those two from Louisiana are John Kennedy and Bill Cassidy. Bill Cassidy is a doctor and a primary care doctor, so he understands what those Medicaid cuts will do. He's the one that is the target.
Thanks, Patrice said. And this next question, I will, if we still have President Johnson on, I will see if he wants to answer it first. Patrice said before you answer, but we did get a question where people are asking, when will the House and Senate finish this bill? So if we can get some more information on how they are actually debating going through this bill and when they'll finish the bill.
Well, the president has asked for this bill to be finished by July 4th, but has also acknowledged that July 4th is it may slip. However, when a bill goes to the House, there's always people who make a lot of noise and then who fold at the end. So we are acting as if July 4th is the deadline.
Yep. And then just a little bit of additional context there for the Senate specifically. Right now, they are in the debate portion of the process. Debate should last between 10 and 20 hours before we get to what is called a vote-a-rama. A vote-a-rama is where every amendment that has been offered by a senator will be introduced and voted on the floor, which is also a lengthy process. I think the most amendments that have been introduced in a vote-a-rama is in the 40s. At this moment, there are over 250 amendments that will be going to the Senate floor. So I would expect that the next 72 hours is going to be a really, really lengthy marathon process for the senators. But to double down on what Patrice is saying, the self-imposed July 4th deadline continues to slip, not only because of the procedural things that are happening, but because the majority is really having trouble wrangling their own caucus, because people are starting to realize the terrible things that they're voting for in this bill.
So let me to clarify, about way too many people don't know anything about what's in this tax bill. The more people know about it, the more they oppose it. There was a study that came out around June 17th, and it was like a third of the country didn't know anything about this bill. And so we have to raise the roof to let people know what's at stake.
Can I add to something Patrice just said as well? Just because Patrice made mention to something this week that I think it's very important for us to realize. She said that we threw enough sand in the gears. It's been sticking with me since you said it, Patrice. We threw enough sand in the gears that's why much of these things are being done in the midnight hours. That's why all these things are happening the way they are. You all have brought enough pressure right now that's why these things are happening the way they're happening. If this bill was so big and beautiful, they'd be doing it out front where everyone can see it. They wouldn't be doing it in the throes of night, right? So you all have to be doing something right. So keep doing exactly what you're hearing from our policy team and from our field team as far as action, because it's obviously having some impact. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it in the middle of the night the way they're doing.
That's right. It's raising the heat on these senators. They are hearing from people. They expected to be able to just cruise by with this. And the administration has been aiding them by doing all of the things that you see, the ICE raids, bombing Iraq, all of the distractions. This bill was the target before the campaign in November 2024, because these tax cuts were set to expire at the end of this year. And so these folks have wanted to extend these tax cuts. That's why you didn't hear anything, a peep about it during the campaign and during the election. And they expected to just slip it in under the radar.
Thanks, Patrice and said. So I'll now ask Tyler if you can talk about, we have several members and units in the chat dropping saying, how can they make this a focus for them? If they have branch meetings coming up this week, what can they do either locally in their units, or who else can we partner potentially with to get this information out?
Thank you very much, Leader Kane. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tyler Sterling. I'm the National Campaigns Director here at the NAACP. I want to start by first and foremost reiterating everything that had just been said. Our first call to action, regardless of where you live, is to contact your senator. We need you to contact your senator first so we can get this onto senators, to contact this get this onto the record of us opposing this bill. We want to contact your senators. Then for those that are in those targeted states where we've said, we certainly want you to contact your senator. And if you know people that live in those states, we need them to contact their senator. Right now, in this very moment, it is about getting phone calls and emails. And as we say, keeping those receipts. We need records of receipts of contacting our legislators. So as we've seen drop throughout the chat, we have a tool link. I appreciate everyone dropping in where they've got their resources, their tools. We have it all on the NAACP website. So on our website, we have a link where you can call or email your senator. How that process will work, you will fill out the first step so that you can indicate that you are, I'm saying senators, contact your senators, so that you can indicate that you are first a registered voter or constituent in that specific jurisdiction or state. Want to make sure that you are a registered voter in that state. That is what the the senators will listen to. So we want to make sure you fill out that first step of the form, and then you get to a second page on the form where you are then directed to call. By filling out that information and putting your cell phone number into the form, you will receive a call back directly from the platform. It will be a local area code. Mine popped up as a New Jersey number, but you'll get a call back from that as soon as you enter that form. Once you pick that phone up, it is listening to the automated responses to take you to your senator's offices. You will contact both of your senators utilizing the guidance that has been provided. So we are asking for a very simple script right now. I'm calling my senators and I'm saying, I need you to vote no on this big, beautiful bill, because I believe that 11.8 million people that we know of at this moment losing their health care is detrimental while lining the pockets of billionaires. That goes against everything I believe in and goes against everything that America should stand for. That is one of the talking points that is on there. You pick the one that fits best to you, that rolls off the tongue. We've got SNAP, we've got Medicare, we've got all of the things that the brilliant minds you just heard from spoke to as to the why, but the how. We're going to go through the link that is just being dropped into the chat. You're going to put your information in to confirm and to let the individuals, the senators, know that you are, in fact, a registered voter and a constituent from that area. And then you're going to follow through with the script to both of your senators. Following that, we need you to bring 3, we need you to bring 5, we need you to bring as many folks to this next call when we are having. So our next call that we have on this information, we need you to invite as many folks as possible. If you are having branch meetings, emergency meetings in between now and then, go through these same exact steps. Go to the NAACP website, put your information in and confirm that you are in fact a constituent of the members of which you are calling. Then call both of them, then rinse and repeat. Send that to as many folks as possible so we can get these numbers up. At this very point in time, it is about keeping receipts and putting numbers on the board to continue making our progress as to where we are at. So all of those links are into the chat. We are going to contact our senators. We are going to be clear and concise in our messaging, indicating that we are in fact a registered voter in the state. We're going to state our reasons as to why we need them to vote no on the bill, utilizing all the messaging frameworks, and then we're going to share that same exact link far and wide to as many people as possible to continue creating as much information, buzz, and receipts of these contacted messages to our senators. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tyler, for that, for our call to action there. As we said, it is in the chat. We'll be getting this out. We're asking folks to call your senators, and of course, the targeted states, and those who live in those targeted states, whether it be Louisiana, North Carolina, West Virginia, et cetera, that you double down and call your senators as well. There are a couple other questions really quickly. I think one around partners in the chat or in the Q&A. Are we engaging unions? Are we engaging other divine non-organizations, other partner organizations and CROs? And the answer to that is yes. The answer to that is yes. We've been pushing this out directly to our partners. As President Johnson mentioned earlier in his remarks, as Tyler just mentioned in his remarks, we'll continue to have these calls throughout the week. As we continue to have these calls, we will see additional partners and constituents from across the country a part of this. We know we cannot do this alone, right? And many of the states where this is impacting folks, some of these states, we don't have many folks that look like Black folks in these states. So we have to make sure that we ensure our partners are getting the messages out as well to their constituents overall. So more to come on that. As we said, there will be more calls happening this week, and we're going to continue to stay on top of this. But to Tyler's point, call your senators. To Reverend Warnock's point and to Vincent's point, all we need is 4. All we need is 4. So we're asking folks to call those targeted senators. I will now kick it back over to our president and CEO, Mr. Derek Johnson, to close us out.
First of all, I want to thank all of you who joined us this evening on this late call. This is the first call of several we will have this week. On tomorrow and Tuesday, we will be inviting our union partners, our partners who are D9 affiliate organizations, religious institutions, and others, so we can track how things are progressing. You know, the unfortunate thing about public policy development, it is the thing oftentimes that people are not paying attention to in terms of the sausage making, but we all feel the outcome of the final decision. And as we always say that elections have consequences, we are looking at the consequence of the November election. But all hope isn't lost. It is our opportunity to continue to push the needle, because what is happening now is not about race, religion, or gender. It's about the role of government and how our tax dollars are going to be used. And so as close to 700 people joined the call this evening, tomorrow we will more than double. The next day it will more than double, because people will begin to tune in the closer we get to a final bill passage of what this would mean to them individually, what it's going to mean to their community. It is important as leaders across the country, whether you're in AACP or the National Council of Negro Women, we are the people in the communities that our communities are looking for. And I know many of you are leaders. So when you go to the grocery store, people ask you, what do you think about this? When you go to the gas station, people pull up next to you. How are you doing? Did you see what happened on the news? When you go to church, people are looking for you to give directions, advice, and truly understand the world that we're currently living in. The reason why we must do these calls and you must invite those same people to join is so they can understand that this is not business as usual. What we thought was bad last year actually was great last year, but what they're trying to create for next year is something that none of us have never seen before in terms of public policy. This is our moment. This is our time. This is our opportunity to ensure that public policy formation reflect our needs and interests, and if it doesn't, that we are educated, that we are ready for 2026 election turnout in ways in which nobody can see us coming. Thank you, Dominic. Thank you, Patrice. Thank you, Cedric. Thank you, Trevon and Tyler and Janelle and Phaedra and Dominic and everyone who on a Sunday morning, Sunday late morning, pulled this together. And now the work begins. Because if it's not us, who else? This is our moment. You all have a blessed night, and we got you in and out within an hour. This ain't a Baptist church tonight, it's the Methodist church. Take care and thank you.